This man is Dylan Bryan Adams. Bryan Adams, fascinating name for somebody. Dylan Adams was arrested for being an idiot and a vandal, an idiotic vandal. You see, anybody who in this day and age decides to vandalize a Tesla has to know that that Tesla has cameras going all around it at all times. Anybody has to know that when you go in and vandalize a Tesla with your very cute puppy dog, you're going to get caught on candid Elon camera, which he did. He was caught approaching the Tesla, and he was caught vandalizing the Tesla. And as you saw in the first picture, he was arrested for it. Mr. Adams also happens to be an employee of Tim Walz, the governor of his state in Minnesota. So naturally, Mr. Adams is going to walk. Mr. Adams will not be going to jail. Mr. Adams is going to go to a, what did they call it? Redirectional center to be redirected from his bad behavior. Here is the DA.
So diversion is accountability. The case was submitted to us by the police. We did not decline it. We looked at the case. What we really wanted was for the victims in that case to get restitution and for this person to be held accountable. We are accomplishing both of those by requiring him to go through a diversion program and to pay restitution to all 6 victims. What happened to those victims of those Teslas should not have happened. And just like any other property offense, which is one of the lowest level offenses that we have, we seek to hold people accountable in a way that will be consistent with public safety. And diversion is a proven way of doing that.
There you go. Diversion. That's the word, diversion. That's your prosecutor. Guess who funded her campaign for DA? Oh, I'll give you 3 guesses. You got it right. George Soros. That's what George Soros does, puts people like that into office. So there you go. Property damage. We just want to divert people. It's a low-level offense, after all, property damage. Of course, motive is important, isn't it? Why did he damage those innocent people's property? For political purposes. Politics played a hand in this. And I'm sorry, did I mention already that he works for the governor, Tim Walz? You know, the man who lost the presidential election this time around to Donald Trump. So what if this is politically motivated vandalism? What if that would actually turn it into a terrorist act? Doesn't matter, because your incredible prosecutor in the Twin Cities has decided that it ain't going to happen. Her name is Moriarty, by the way. And yes, she's a Soros-funded prosecutor. And she has quite the track record. You know, she talks about property damage. You know, back during the George Floyd riots, there was a hell of a lot of property damage for innocent people. This is one of them.
How was last night?
Scary. I live in the high rise right back here, and I seen them as they came down Lake Street. But then they turned and started coming over here, and I'm sitting out looking out my window. And they went straight to Office Max, the dollar store, and every store over here that I go to. I have nowhere to go now.
Hey, lady, come on, man. Shut up. It's just low-level property damage. What are you whining about? Mary Moriarty and Tim Walz and George Soros, they don't care about her. It's low-level property damage, ma'am. And all the people who burned Minneapolis and St. Paul to a crisp during the George Floyd riots, they aren't stupid. They read, they watch, they hear, they know that their district attorney just did this to a vandal. In fact, I did that a little too hard. It was more like this. Next time they want to come out for a righteous political cause and burn things down and vandalize, you know, just like the graffiti on that poor woman's building behind her, they're going to do it because they know they won't get in trouble. Yeah, this woman's a real piece of work. You know how bad she is? You know how bad a prosecutor this Ms. Moriarty is? Wasn't that the villain in the Sherlock Holmes stories?
Yep.
Ms. Moriarty is so bad that even Tim Walz had to take her off of a murder case because he knew she would f it up.
Another development to a story that we've been following now for a few weeks. A murder case allegedly plotted by a jealous ex who hired two teens to carry out the crime. And on the eve of a possible plea deal, the governor is now stepping in. Our Karen Scullin has the latest tonight from our live center for us. Karen?
Yeah, it's a huge development in the case of a 15-year-old charged with murder. The family had been asking the governor to give the prosecution of the case to the Attorney General, Keith Ellison, and that finally happened late this afternoon.
How old are you? We're happy.
Renewed hope for the family of Zaria McKeever, the 23-year-old who was shot and killed in Brooklyn Park last November. The family had been fighting back against a plea deal offered by Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty that would have given a 15-year-old charged with the murder 2 years or less behind bars. While the family believed it was a horrible injustice, Moriarty believed justice and public safety would be served best with the teens in a program for juveniles, then oversight till 21. But the family, the community, and ultimately the Attorney General strongly disagreed. A.G. Ellison asked the governor for the case, and tonight Governor Walz called the family to tell them it was happening.
He said, "This is Tim Walz," and I'm like, "The governor?" So I just took off running to go upstairs where my mom was and he's telling me first that he's gonna appoint the case to the Attorney General and he wants justice to be served.
Yeah, listen, when Keith Ellison is the tougher guy in the room who will actually bring justice to the table, you know you've got a problem with that district attorney. I'm happy for the McKeever family, and I'm happy that they got closer to justice because it got taken out of this radical woman's hand. I dare say that if the circumstances in this case were different, I doubt Tim Walz would have stepped in. But here's the problem with all of this. Not only does the family of this murder victim have to deal with this anguish to even think of the fact that their family's murderer was about to get a juvenile sentence or some sort of restorative justice thing. Not only is it bad that the rioters and other vandals in Minneapolis, St. Paul know that if they damage things, there's not going to be any problem. They can walk scot-free. There's another aspect of this that is absolutely upending any sense of justice that we Americans feel on a regular basis, or want to feel at least. You see, when the headline says it's okay for you to damage people's property for political purposes, we won't do anything about it, there's no jail time for that. Yeah, it absolutely will encourage this behavior more and more. But then there's the other side of that same coin. You see, this woman's name is Paulette Harlow. She is 75 years old. She was sentenced to 2 years in jail because of her outrageous behavior at an abortion mill in Washington, D.C. Did she vandalize the abortion mill? No. Spray paint? No. Break a window? No. Did she impede anybody from being able to go into the abortion mill? No, although would have been fine in my mind if she did. Did she hurl insults at desperate, frightened women as they were going into that abortion mill? No, she did not. She sat in front of that abortion mill in Washington, D.C., and she prayed. She was guilty of praying in a public space in Washington, D.C., and she was arrested, tried, and sentenced to 2 years in jail. She had to serve more time in jail for praying in the United States of America than that dirtbag who destroyed somebody's car because of his own warped political ideology. But you see, he worked for the governor of Minnesota, the guy who was almost vice president. Poor Paulette Harlow, she didn't work for Tim Walz or any Democrat for that matter. Maybe things would have worked out differently if she did. When my good friends on the left wonder why conservatives are so tied up with our justice system and angry over the way justice is meted out in this country, it's hard for them to understand it. Hopefully, seeing this, they'll get it. I'll tell you one genius who understands it, though, Elon Musk. He's got a brilliant idea. Okay, it's the Babylon Bee, but still, it's brilliant. Just put a big Tesla logo in front of the IRS building in D.C. Nothing will happen to you. It'll be great. The bee never, ever misses. And they never fail to put a smile on our faces, even when it comes to a story that really pisses us off.